So I'm going to start by talking about some of the goals that we set. We started thinking about this in February as we were watching the clouds darken around the pandemic and kind of anticipating where things may be going. Pulled my team together and we started thinking about what we might be facing if we had to change the modality and the way we were teaching our students. And my team is a really great collection of areas that really set a model for how we could address these issues partnering with our faculties. So we started planning in February and we set some initial kinds of goals, some things that we knew we wanted to underpin the way that we would be going forward. And so we thought about quality as a key goal, knowing that we would be moving quickly, but to the extent possible, we wanted to focus on quality across our modality, knowing that we would likely be moving from mostly face-to-face and some online to mostly remote. So we started thinking about what that would mean and how we could achieve as much quality as possible. We wanted to focus our training working with our faculty using our learning management system and have it be as tailored as possible and to make sure that we were including other faculty in the training. So we set up a really great program that I'm going to talk a little bit about that gave us the chance to extend our capacity and also to involve faculty peers who were already teaching online, representatives of the dean's areas, and really to become sort of pods of expertise as we tried to build to move to remote learning. And we also recognized that this was a unique time and that once we sort of got our bearings and could get things moving underway, we really would have the opportunity in an accelerated pace that was clearly being disrupted to try to be more creative, to look for opportunities for innovation, and to really move forward with a really set of lofty goals of how we could think about moving all of UTSA forward. Chloe has done some research on how the spring went and how many colleges and universities moved to remote learning, and so that you know it's about 80%. And the average number of courses that were moved from face-to-face to remote online learning was 500. At UTSA, we moved 4,126 courses over a very fast period of an extended spring break in March to move so that students would be ready when they came back from their spring break. So it was a fast race. And using our faculty champions, points of contact, and instructional designers, teaching and learning team members who focus on pedagogy, we had over 1,100 faculty participate in training. We did boot camps over the weekend. We did webinars. We did one-on-one work. We did pretty much everything that we could to help provide support for our faculty in this very fast time. And I'm so proud of the fact that I mentioned we had over 1,100 faculty who participated. We only have about 1,200 faculty at UTSA. So virtually every faculty member in some way participated with our team as we were moving forward in the spring semester. I know that our work wasn't perfect, but we know that we worked as hard as we could and always focusing on how we could keep quality front and center, both the faculty experience and the student experience underpinning that. So what we saw is by the end of spring, when we surveyed everyone, we asked sort of when you started this, how confident did you feel about your ability for faculty to be able to teach in this environment and for students to be able to learn in this environment? And in both cases, they reflected back and really only about a third of them moving into this changed modality felt confident when they started. At the end of spring, 70% of our students expressed confidence that they actually now felt confident in being able to learn in this environment, and 66% of our faculty expressed that they felt confident. And so as we started to think about summer, which we knew would be fully online, we wanted to build on what we had learned, and one of the things we learned is that we wanted a stronger student voice as a part of how we were working with our faculty, and that we could focus on quality as we were thinking about our summer courses. And so we included Quality Matters training for faculty, and faculty were able to go through an actual couple-week-long training with Quality Matters experts, go through a self-evaluation at the end to assess their course being built, and we covered the cost of that, in addition to providing some incentives for our faculty to build their courses over the summer, to use Quality Matters, to at least use the Quality Matters checklist, and we also were able to provide some incentives for our points of contact and our faculty champions who continued working with us through this whole period of time. As we know that our students preferred asynchronous learning, we focused on building asynchronous courses for summer. Although we know that our students and faculty also missed the sense of engagement that they felt that they had more authentically in the face-to-face experience than they were able to incorporate in the spring semester. And so we put some more focus to how to build engagement as a part of that. So we thought about tools that could be used to help promote engagement. We worked with faculty to provide some tips and some things that they could think about as they were building their courses, and focused with our students on what was meaningful for them. So we started planning for fall. We used a different process. We had a little bit of time, and UTSA had used tactical teams to address some really large issues that we were facing. And these teams were made up of faculty, staff, students, and addressed different parts of the educational experience. The team that I co-chaired, along with our Dean of Science, Dave Silva, was the team that looked at course delivery going into fall and what was going to make sense, how we could do it, what type of modality we would use, what our guiding principles would be going forward, and what would be important for our students and our faculty. So that tactical team looked at both infrastructure, types of support that we wanted to provide for our students, and we were able to take advantage of a lot of the surveying to help inform that, types of technology, software, and tools that our students and faculty needed, and we worked very closely with our University Technology Solutions partners, coming up with recommendations around that area. And then the broader team, comprised of faculty and students and staff, also looked at how we wanted to think about large classes that our primarily lower division students were going to be taking. So what could we do there to make these courses distinctive, to think about the experience of both our students and our faculty? We looked at experiential learning and interdisciplinary coursework. And as we started this process, we thought, okay, now we know we want to continue with quality. We know we want to have a dynamic feedback loop from faculty and students about the experiences that we can work to continually improve. But what else should we use to guide us? And so we used a benchmark of thinking about, what do we want UTSA to look like in 2023? It's a horizon that we hope will be past the pandemic period, but not so far away that we can't envision that. And how will we continue the momentum, the forward-moving momentum, and think about, what do we want Roadrunners to say about their experience and faculty to say about their experience 3 years from now? So that became sort of a planning horizon for us. We also early on decided that we wanted our students, we didn't want to apologize for this moment. We know that our freshmen coming in had a disrupted high school. We know it's been hard for students to be back living at home, to find a corner in an old bedroom or around the dining room table to be able to do work, and we know that that's taken a toll. But we also had to buttress that with this moment in time. This is a global pandemic, the last of which we saw over 100 years ago. It's a national election. It's a time of massive cultural unrest. And so it was important to us that our message be one that was sort of own this moment. All of us need to own this moment and recognize both the incredible challenges and the human, emotional, mental health, and physical toll that everyone was feeling as a part of it, and yet to recognize that these experiences won't come back around again. And we have a responsibility in higher education to create opportunities for our students to think this through in a curricular and a co-curricular way, and to really recognize the specialness that they have being a UTSA Roadrunner. And so we felt like it was important that our students developed a sense of affiliation because we knew that most all of their courses would be online, and that physical sense of staying up till 2 in the morning talking to your roommate in a residence hall may not happen. Having the random conversations with a faculty member in the student union would be more challenging or non-existent. And so how do we build affiliation? How do we take some courses and really develop some pilots that embed creativity and some really state-of-the-art ways to deliver online education? And how do we continue to create a sense of momentum, a sense that we're moving forward? So what are we doing now that we're in the fall semester? What kinds of things did we think about that could be interesting, creative ways to provide opportunities for our students to have experiences unlike those they would have anywhere else? And how do we keep our faculty energized and keep a sense of what the culture of each department is, where the issues are, where faculty are getting tired, where students have particular needs? How do we make sure that we're doing all of these things and also doing extraordinary work? So we had some time to be able to build actual surveying regularly through the semester of both faculty and students together into the experience. So we are doing 5 surveys every few weeks through the semester to help give us information about how the experience is, and also in a dynamic way so that if we see some hotspots, we're able to address them and move forward quickly. So I'm kind of excited. Our first survey results are in, and we asked the confidence question. How do you feel, how confident do you feel about this semester going forward? And super excited to mention that we actually found with our faculty, over 95% of our faculty felt very confident or mostly confident going forward in this semester. And for our students, it was 94% that expressed the same level of confidence. We meet with students regularly. We have regular conversations with student government leadership, along with faculty governance leadership. And so they review our surveys. We touch base to see how things are going. And we have continued to be able to provide incentives for our points of contacts and faculty champions. And we're actually expanding that group a little bit to add some faculty who can help us in some particular departments understand maybe the culture of the department or where there may be some additional issues. So that's the mindset. That's how we're thinking about things. And what are we doing? We're doing 3 pretty extraordinary pilots this semester. One that impacts all of our freshmen, one that impacts about 300 students, and then several other courses that will impact several hundred students in our sciences area. So in key areas, actually, where we know students can have a harder time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing. We took the freshman year experience and just decided to kind of blow it up, met with faculty, brought in some students, and our team in teaching and learning and digital learning and the other areas of our group, along with undergraduate education, and came together to try to think about what we could do. And we decided that in addition to creating the sense of having our students be able to own this moment, that we needed to be able to have some ways that they could archive their experiences, which I mentioned a little bit ago. So we have some tools that we're making available for our students. Adobe Portfolio, we're an Adobe Creative Campus, so our students all have access to that. And then we're partnering with the library on Pressbook, which is another digital tool that creates the opportunity for students to archive their experiences, whether they're videos, whether they are a written poem or paper, but they can keep those. And then we will actually be pulling together selections that will be archived in Pressbook that will stay in the UTSA library always as a recognition of this moment. The other project I wanted to talk about is the project that is our interdisciplinary project. We definitely need a sexier title, but this impacts over 300 students and multiple different academic areas. So it starts in history, with students in that class thinking about this moment in time, where global pandemics fit throughout history, what happens in societies after a global pandemic, what are the lessons learned, are there some things that we can apply to where we are right now? And then those students take what they've learned and they turn that over to poetry in an English class, where students think about creative expression and perhaps write a poem or a paper, or again, take this moment and creatively apply it to their course, which then moves into creative expression through music and dance. So we have a music course and dance courses where students will take what they've seen along the way through history and writing and poetry and take this and through creative expression, put this into a dance or music. And then finally, we have an architecture class that will take this, everything that we have, so whether it's the dance movement or a painting or a sculpture through the art class, or it's poetry, or it's videos and papers, and think about what type of a physical environment we would want to display and be able to put on these types of activities. And so we have an architecture course, and the thing to remember is all of this is being done in a virtual environment. So it's a very exciting project, again, that builds on what we're doing with the freshman year experience. So one of the science classes that I wanted to talk about is a physics course, which is actually a very exciting class. I mean, it's a class that looks at physics for scientists and engineers. And so it's a broad-based student population, and the course itself is looking at how we value diversity in physics. And so we are gamifying much of the course using programs like PlayPosit, and we'll be going through different types of gaming experiences to learn, be motivated to learn the next thing, be motivated to learn something else, to be able to study diverse physicists out of previous generations while also being able to connect with diverse physicists who exist right now. And upon completion of these activities, students earn badges. So we're pretty excited. This is not a class that normally would look at life this way, using these types of tools, and we're very excited at the feedback that we're already starting to get from both the faculty and the students. Finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about student engagement, because I mentioned earlier that one of the things that both our faculty and students felt was missing was that sense of engagement. And so we've tried to put some focus to that, both in how we're helping our faculty think about their teaching, that it's important to be personal when you're in a virtual environment. So it's really okay if students see your dogs, or if your child walks by, or if they see what your kitchen looks like. It just helps make you human. We're also trying to look at some tools that might be helpful, and we have a group of about, more than this, but we have about 20 faculty who had built online courses using some tools. We had recently become an Adobe Creative Campus, and so they use those tools in their courses. And so we pulled those faculty members together to see if we could understand what the impact was and if it was making a difference for engagement. And we found that, and the courses there varied from Spanish to English, to communication, to architecture, and some courses in between. But we heard a few things that I think were worth noting. We found from most of the faculty that where they had used some of those tools, it really helped to increase the success of group work, which we know creates a sense of engagement for students and faculty, meeting other students in the course and having a good experience. And so that was a positive. We had one course where it was a communications course where students did a community service event experience, and they were building promotional materials for the San Antonio Zoo. And the materials were really well received by the San Antonio Zoo. And more than that, the students felt a real strong sense of agency and confidence in what they were able to provide. And so we also saw that as a plus. You know, we haven't solved all the issues around engagement, but we know that we're learning along the way and that we will continue to look for ways to use different types of tools. We know that having our freshmen using Pressbook and Adobe Portfolio to collect and archive those experiences is clearly going to create a different sense of engagement for those students. So what will we look forward to? We're going to look forward to continual innovation. These are all pilots that we have full intent of learning how things worked, both good and things that may not have worked as well, so that we can continue to grow them and improve on those and seek out and incentivize new ideas. We know also that one of the things that has happened through the growth of online and remote learning is that accommodations and accessibility have really been brought into the spotlight. And so we've established a couple of funds. One fund is for, in addition to working with student disability services and having instructional designers who have specific expertise in accessibility, we also have set up a fund that faculty can apply for if they have some interesting ideas around how they want to do captioning or some ways to address accessibility and accommodations. So we're very excited about that. And then we are setting up a fund that will simply support innovation. And we want to partner with our academic colleagues across different departments and different colleges on campus, but we want to make money available for faculty who have a great idea to feel like they have a place where they could try it, and we can partner with them to help make that happen. We also want to incentivize innovation among our staff team and students, and so we're looking at ways that we can set up some incentives to know that if a student has a great idea or a staff member has a great idea, and it could be anything from around tutoring to how we improve a website or a way that communicating, that we have a way that we can help support that and then assess it and then figure out how it continues to move us forward. So I hope you've enjoyed this. We are really doing some awesome things at UT San Antonio. Happy to talk more about this at any other time, and enjoy EDUCAUSE, and thank you.